Hello YouTube world. This is a video requested by one of my subscribers. They wanted to know what parts my lightweight mountain AR are made out of, what are the key components, why I selected each item. Starting at the beginning, we have the V7 Enlightened billet aluminum lower. This is a very lightweight, very high quality component. We go over here, we have the standard Miad Magpul pistol grip with the accessory compartment. Coming over here, this is a Gearhead Works buffer tube. Now the interesting thing about this tube is that it comes much longer and the end of it is solid aluminum. So you can actually cut down to length how long you want it for your length of pull. I cut mine at 10.4 inches, which I believe is the new ATF standard. Anything over 10.5, they ding you for it being an SBR on their score sheet. So I cut this to 10.4. That keeps me in pistol territory. On the end here, we have a Gearhead Works Type 1C or Mod 1C pistol brace. This is the lightest quality pistol brace on the market that I could find. This is less than half the weight of an SBA 3. If you take these, now I also have a BCM nickel Teflon polished trigger in it. It's a very good trigger for a very, very reasonable price. I highly recommend it. When you combine it with the yellow JP Enterprises springs, you get about a 3.5 pound trigger pull. Very nice. Not match grade, but for a duty gun, it's pretty reliable. And it's a very nice trigger pull. But this lower is actually lighter than a assembled KP15 lower from KE Arms, which is the polymer lower that the What Would Stoner Do is built on. And that's 24.1 ounces for a complete assembled lower. And that actually has a pistol grip toolkit in it. So there's actually... Take this stuff out, it'll be a little lighter. Get out of there. Now, it's just a lens cloth. I'm sure we can. 23.4 ounces, and that is a completely assembled lower with an ambi safety. So that's a very, very, very light lower assembly. Moving on, we have an H3 buffer with a Springco red spring and a Brownells lightweight bolt carrier group with a Faxon bolt that's matched to this barrel. Now you might wonder, why would you run a lightweight bolt carrier and an H3 buffer at the same time? That makes no sense. Well, on the surface it doesn't appear to make any sense. However, this assembly weighs just about exactly the same as a carbine buffer with an M16 bolt carrier group. So the weight is identical. So, you're not messing with different weights, that's going to throw off the timing of the gun or whatever. You basically are running the same weight reciprocating mass as a standard carbine AR. The reason for this is now I've shifted the heavier part of the action into the buffer tube, and the lighter part of the action up into the upper receiver. So now the entire center of gravity of the gun is shifted to the rear. This makes for a much lighter nose and a much easier pointing gun. This is super handy, one-handed operation with this, even using the Gearhead Works tail hook as the ATF wants you to. Very, very handy pointable firearm. Super reliable. I fired probably 1,500 rounds to this. I've never had a single malfunction of any kind. Moving on, I like an aluminum GI magazine. Whether it's 30 or 20 rounds, to this day, that are the lightest reliable option that I have found. I believe a 30-round GI mag is a good 2 ounces lighter than a Magpul. That doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're saving 2 ounces on every component, next thing you know, your rifle's a ½ pound lighter. But I like to also run a 55 grain Spear Gold Dot. And this is another issue where if you're running 77 grain versus 55 grain ammo, in your whole loadout, by the time you have a couple hundred rounds, it adds up to about a quarter-pound difference in weight. So the lighter the bullet, I wouldn't really go any lighter than the 50 grain TSX by Black Hills, which is excellent. It's also extremely expensive. So I'm running the Spear Gold Dot. This is actually the 5.56 millimeter law enforcement only round. Very hard to find, but very good ammunition. For the light, I'm running the PL Mini 2 Valkyrie from Olight. A lot of people knock Olights. I have 4 of these and 4 different ARs, and they work fantastic. I'm not going to speak for their entire range, but the ones with the magnetic chargers, these are very good lights. I have had no problems whatsoever with them. I used to live up in the mountains in Pennsylvania. I've had these outdoors in the woods at 30 degrees below zero. Never had a problem with them. They're very, very good, reliable lights. For the charging handle, we're just using a BCM. I think this is the Mod 4. It's the moderate profile. Not a huge fan of the giant charging handles. They're very snag prone. One thing I learned in the infantry, I don't like snagging items that snag a lot. Perhaps contradicting myself a little bit, I do heavily favor the old style teardrop AR-15 or M16A1 teardrop forward assist. I find it to be much, much easier to manipulate. So, you know, everybody likes what they like. For the upper, I'm running the Faxon Forged. It's got a hollowed out shell deflector assembly. Saves about an ounce versus a standard forged upper. And it's reasonable. I have a Faxon barrel, a Faxon bolt, so it seemed very natural to go with the Faxon forged upper. Strike Industries dust cover. I think this is just an NBS, by the way, this forward assist. I'm sure if you were to go out and spend a lot of money on a titanium one, you could save another ounce there, probably. For the mount, we got a Scalar Works 7075 forged mount. These are very pricey, but they're also very, very light, which is why I'm using the Hollow Sun 507. If you take something like a Sig Romeo 4 or an Aimpoint T2, once you add in the mount and everything, you're like 6-7 ounces. Some options, you're at a half a pound. I believe the 2 of these together are about a quarter pound combined. So, you know, it's all the little areas where you save a lot of money. Barrel is an 11.5 inch Faxon gunner. I had originally gone with a 10.5 inch Faxon pencil, and it was about a quarter pound lighter. However, the gun was so light that when you were firing an M193, if you use a nose to charging handle style firing technique, it was actually give you a good punch in the nose every time you fired. So I wanted to smooth out the recoil impulse a little bit and reduce the recoil, so I went with a mid-length gas, added a little bit of weight. It's still a very, very light weapon, which at the end I'll put it all back together and we'll put it on the scale. And I think this is just right. Just about the right weight to be ideal. The mount, I can't remember the name brand, but it was very light and very, very tight, close to the handguard. Very low profile mount. I don't recall who makes that. I actually prefer a 12-degree hole light mount, but with this particular handguard, that's not really possible. The muzzle device is a Black River Tactical linear compensator. It's reasonably priced, yet it's the same length and profile as an A2 flash hider and very light. This device weighs about 1.5 ounces. You can go on their website, verify that. I'm pretty sure they have the weight listed, but this is a very light muzzle device for a steel muzzle device. For gas block, we're using a Faxon 3-screw low profile. It's very light. It's hollowed out here. You know, as far as steel gas blocks goes, it's a very light unit. The barrel, I did have the barrel dimpled to use it. I think that's all our major components up here. Let's take a look, flip this guy over. Yeah, that's all the major stuff. The handguard is Jag Composites. I don't know how long they've been around. It was, I'm going to say it's about $240, but including the barrel nut and the screws, this is an extremely lightweight handguard. It's about 3.2 ounces, if I recall correctly, when I weighed it. So much, much lighter than most of the competitors on the market. Okay, let's take some weights of some of these items here so we could take a look at what we got. We'll start with this Brownells bolt carrier group. That's 8.4 ounces. I want to say, I don't have one handy, but I want to say an M16 group is about 12 ounces. So you're saving a quarter pound here. But like I said, I'm putting it back, the weight back, with the 7.4 ounces here with the H3 buffer and spring. Now this is where you could, if you ran adjustable gas, you could cut that down to a carbine buffer. Save yourself about 3.5 ounces, which is almost a quarter pound. But I don't like adjustable gas on a defensive weapon. And this is my primary home defense weapon. So I wanted to stick with, it's why I have a forward assist. It's why I have fixed gas. I wanted maximum reliability. The Ultralight, 2.5 ounces, which this is 600 lumens. Another thing I like about this, it has a very low candela rating, meaning it's not a focused beam. It's a wide angle flood beam. And, you know, one thing I was watching, oh, which channel was it? One of the gun channels I've subscribed to that has a Navy SEAL. Like every gun channel has a Navy SEAL nowadays. I don't know if there's any of them that don't have a YouTube channel. It's Jeff Gonzalez, it was, for AR15.com. He was talking about a night vision course that he runs. And he was explaining that if you have a high candela flash beam, people have a natural tendency to fixate on the white, bright, intense white spot of light. And they tend to ignore their peripheral area. And that's one thing that I had also noticed in the infantry. So I wanted a wide beam with an equal lighting across the entire spectrum. So this way you don't have a hot spot to fixate on. And I feel my personal experience, which is, certainly limited compared to any SEAL, I agree with Jeff Gonzalez on that point, definitely. Okay, so let's keep the weights going. We're going to go on to the entire upper now. This is the entire upper minus the bolt carrier group. So this is ready to drop onto a gun. And we have 37.8 ounces. So 32 ounces would be 2 pounds. So that's 2 pounds, 6 ounces for the complete upper. And that's including the mounts and an optic. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Let's put the light on this. If it'll cooperate with me. QD, right? Let me go off camera here for a second. Okay. So it's about 40 ounces even with the light and optic installed. For an optic, for an upper that's using a forward assist, that is very, very light. Very light. And 40 ounces would be 2.5 pounds exactly. Let's get over here. This is our complete lower assembly, and you can see right there that's 23.3 ounces. So that's less than 1.5 pounds for a complete functional lower assembly. Very light. So if you give me a minute, bear with me, I'll slap this bad boy together and we will get a weight for the entire system. Okay, fully assembled, unloaded. 80.7 ounces. So 96 ounces is 6 pounds. So that's 5 pounds, 0.7 ounces with the 11.5 inch barrel. Fully loaded. My wife let the Doberman puppy out, so he's attempting to interact with our photo shoot here. Fully loaded, 20 rounds of ammunition. We're at 91.6 ounces, so slightly over 5.5 pounds. And this is a gun with a fixed gas system, running a standard weight reciprocating mass, and a forward assist. So to me, this is a fully combat ready weapon that you could drop into the swamps of Vietnam with if you wanted to. And I think this is about, without getting completely crazy with titanium hardware and sacrificing reliability, for a very shootable, controllable weapon that is extremely pointable, I think this is about as light as you're going to get. Like I said, when I had the 10.5 inch on here, it was a 1/4 pound lighter than this. So you could take 4 ounces off that, you'd be at 87. But it was, the recoil impulse was much more severe and less pleasant. I really, really like this 11.5 inch Faxon mid-length. You know, a lot of people say it's only for suppressed. I had some email conversations with them before I ordered it, and went with this, and they assured me it would be good. And you know, I put, like I said, 1,500 rounds through this, and it really has been very, very good for me. I've been very happy with it. So that's basically the entire video. It's a wrap. So basically what we have here, and I call this gun my Space Needle. You can probably see why. It's very, very thin, sleek looking AR-15. So, but yeah, that's basically everything. So thanks for requesting the video. If you have any more requests, let me know. Have a good one.